There's only 5 game weeks left this season and I'm going to help you with all 5 captain picks, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of these videos. Anyway, let's get straight into it and take a look at the shortlist for game week 34. The first player on the shortlist is the man in form, Iheanacho from Leicester. He's up against Southampton away from home. The second player on the shortlist, believe it or not, is Chris Wood. I've included him because he's in really good form. He scored a hat-trick in his last match and he obtained an assist as well. He plays against West Ham at home and it looks like they're without Rice. The penultimate player on the shortlist is Harry Kane. I think he'll be very popular this game week. He's got a fixture against Sheffield United at home. The last player on the shortlist is Kevin De Bruyne. He plays against Palace away from home. Now there is a risk of Pep roulette there because there isn't much recovery time before this fixture, like you'll see later on in the video. But City haven't yet wrapped up the league and Pep has said that he likes to play De Bruyne as much as possible. Comparing the underlying stats for this season, De Bruyne does come out on top, mainly because of the expected assist per 90 minutes. Even though you do get more points for a goal than you do for an assist, he gets an extra point for a goal than the other 3 players on the shortlist, so he still comes out on top for the expected FPL return points per 90 minutes. Iheanacho has the second best underlying stats, but it's also important to take into consideration that it's only a sample size of 1000 minutes. Only a fraction behind him is Harry Kane, but Harry Kane has got a much higher sample size of minutes, therefore it is more consistent. As for Wood, if you compare him to the other 3 players, his underlying stats aren't that impressive and I'm kind of regretting putting him on the shortlist already. As for the players delivering on these stats, Kane comes out on top because he's averaging over 1 return per game. Iheanacho is absolutely smashing it for the goals per 90 minutes, but he hasn't got an assisting output like De Bruyne. KDB of course has 2 channels to points, whereas Iheanacho only has 1. He also has the potential to get a clean sheet point unlike the other 3 players on the shortlist. Something else to consider as well as the non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes is the fact that some of the players are on penalties whilst the other ones aren't. Kane is definitely on penalties for Spurs, Wood might be on penalties for Burnley, it doesn't look like De Bruyne is on penalties for City, it looks like it might be Mahrez, and Iheanacho's not on penalties for Leicester, it's Vardy. If we take a look at the form over the course of the last 5 matches, Iheanacho sticks out like a sore thumb. He's averaging almost 1 non-penalty expected goal per 90 minutes and his non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 minutes is almost 1.3 per game. His finishing has certainly been on point as well. He's averaging 1.5 goals per game and 0.2 assists per game as well. It's fair to say that he is currently the form player in the Premier League. As for the other 3 players, they've all got a similar non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 minutes and yes, Chris Wood is keeping up with the other 2 players. Kane actually has the most promising underlying stats for FPL because it's weighted heavily on goals. Wood and Kane have both averaged 1 goal per game and I know in comparison to Iheanacho it doesn't look that good but it's actually really impressive. Something that really shocked me is in that period of time Wood had the most assists per 90 minutes by 0.4. Overall, De Bruyne is only averaging 0.6 returns per 90 minutes whilst Kane's averaging 1, Wood is averaging 1.6 and Iheanacho is averaging 1.7. I know there are a lot of stats for you to digest, just sit back, relax and I'll summarise it at the end of the video. We'll do a process of elimination and pick the best captain. Now let's continue by comparing the opposition's defence. Kane just about has the easiest fixture against Sheffield United. They've been relegated, they've got nothing to play for, they've got the worst expected goals conceded per 90 minutes, the 0.1 behind on the goals against per 90 minutes and if you combine them both, they're worse than any other team on the shortlist. Although Iheanacho's opponents Southampton have conceded the most goals per 90 minutes, I'd say their defence is a similar quality to De Bruyne's opponents Crystal Palace. That's because Crystal Palace are 0.1 behind on their goals against per 90 minutes and they compensate for that with the expected goals conceded per 90 minutes where they're 0.1 ahead. Wood has the toughest opponents on the shortlist by far against West Ham. I know they might not have Rice playing, but his absence wouldn't make their numbers that much worse. I've never eliminated a player at this stage in the video before, but I have regretted putting Wood on the shortlist. I just wanted to see how he compared with his form, but no, he doesn't compare with the other 3 players, so he's going. Anyway, back to the 3 players that matter. Unsurprisingly, Kane's opponent Sheffield United have the worst chance of obtaining a clean sheet this game week with 8%. To be fair to KDB, Crystal Palace are only 1% ahead, so you could say it's round about the same chance. As for Iheanacho, it's not looking too good in this area because Southampton are more than twice as likely to get a clean sheet than Crystal Palace or Sheffield United. If we take a look at the probability, Kane has the best chance of scoring by 11% and De Bruyne has the best chance of assisting by 7%. As a matter of fact, these are the top 2 players for both of the anytime goal scorer and anytime assisting odds. Kane has the best chance of an anytime return. He tops the Fantasy Football Hub points projections by 1.1 and the Fantasy Football Fix points projections by 1.4. De Bruyne is quite a margin behind in second place. And I believe that Iheanacho's points projections are quite low because it's based on a small sample size of data, but it is really good data to go off, so I do think they should be higher than what they actually are. Whilst this video is being recorded, City haven't yet played in the Champions League. I'm assuming that De Bruyne is going to play plenty of minutes in that one, and he's only going to get 2.5 days of resting time. Iheanacho gets a decent amount of resting time with just under 4 days. He did play 90 minutes in his last match though. And Kane has an ample amount of resting time. He gets a full week to recover. I'm now going to eliminate the second player because of the rotation risk, and he only gets 2.5 days resting time even if he does play. It's Kevin De Bruyne. So now we're just down to Iheanacho and Kane. I'm tipping this player because he's averaging more than 1 return per 90 minutes, he's got 2 channels to points, he's on penalties, he's been smashing it for longer, he's got the easiest opponents on the shortlist, he's got the best chance of scoring and the second best chance of assisting, he's topping the Fantasy Football Hub and Fantasy Football Fix points projections, and he gets a week's worth of resting time. Say no more, it's Harry Kane. If you found this video informative, please drop it a like because it really helps me out, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future captain analysis videos.